rounds, hopefully you neutralized your target, but that's why we do a search and assess.
Bag in there.
Shoot your target, shoot your partner. Gun!
With Magpul Industries. With me is Travis Haley. We're going to be working with you guys today, specifically working on the carbine. Travis is going to cover some range safety rules that we need to keep in mind. This is a starting from the ground up, which is very important, but remember this foundation lays the groundwork for doing more advanced work in the future. So Travis?
First thing we're going to cover, and the thing that you should cover every time you step out on the range, is the 4 firearms basic safety rules. A lot of shooters will eventually have accidents because they get complacent. They forget these simple basic rules. Okay, there are no tricks of the trade. There are no advanced tactics out there. It's honing the basic fundamentals, and those 4 firearm safety rules definitely apply. So number 1, treat every weapon as if it were loaded. You pick it up off the table, you treat it up if it's loaded. I saw a couple guys pick up their weapons and lock the bolts of rear and check it, and they had it pointing in a safe direction. Okay, that's the second rule. Never point your weapon at anything you do not intend to destroy. Laser beam theory. When you pick up a weapon, you pretend it's got just a fiery hot laser beam coming out of there, and anything it points at is going to cut down. You got to be really conscious of that. Number 3, trigger finger. Okay, keep your finger straight and off the trigger and outside the trigger guard until you're up on target with the intent to fire. When we're running basic courses, we'll see a lot of people generally forget that rule. It's a huge safety issue. We don't want to have any negligent discharges. Okay. 4th firearm safety rule: be aware of your target's foreground and background before you fire. Okay, what does that basically mean? We want to be conscious of what's in front of our target and what's behind it. You know, we'll cover something later about height over bore with your sights and your barrel. What if there's a wall in front of you, but you got a clear front sight picture and you shoot it? You weren't aware of your foreground. That's going to suck, because when that concrete blows back in your face or that steel straps you, that's going to be a bad day. Okay, so we got to be aware of what's in front of our target. Obviously behind the target, okay, we don't want to hurt any friendlies or innocent people or our loved ones, our family, our kids downstairs or something, so we got to be aware of what's behind that target. So again, number 1, treat every weapon as if it were loaded. Number 2, never point your weapon at anything you not intend to destroy. Number 3, keep your finger straight and off the trigger and outside the trigger guard until you're up on target with the intent to fire. Number 4, be aware of your target's foreground and background before you fire. Memorize those. It's a great practice to get out there on the range every time you shoot. Like right now, you go to the range by yourself, with your wife, with your friends, go over them in your head, go over them to each other, okay? It's just going to make you a better shooter in the end.
Before we go much further though, Travis is going to talk about gear placement, because gear placement is extremely important the way you guys are set up right now. Some of you guys, there's a variety of slings out here. Some of you guys later on will carry a secondary weapon system on you, so it's very important where you sling your primary. So we'll cover that real quick.
Yeah, like Chris said, there's a big variety of gear out here, different setups, vests, belt systems. So I think what's going to happen today in a basic course, you're going to find the best place to place your gear. You're going to find that some things don't work for you. So talking about right off the bat, our gear magazine placement, okay? We're going to go in detail speed reloads and tactical reloads later, but when you want to index a magazine, okay, we want to be able to index it, okay, in a manner when it comes out, it goes into the weapon with the least amount of waste movement. I like to run my rounds to the rear because I'm kind of a beer can gripper. When I grab my magazines, I like to index it with a full beer can grip, is what you'll hear it called in the industry, okay? And when I rotate it up into the gun, I have maximum control on that magazine, okay? You'll see a couple guys like Chris is facing it forward. Great technique, because he's maintaining his consistency of the way he has his pistol magazines, okay? Because he can index that pistol magazine and rotate it right up into the gun, okay? He does the same thing with his M4 magazines, but notice when you see him load, he'll have a nice, firm, solid grip. It'll be sitting in the palm of the hand, and he'll have his finger indexed on the side of the front of the magazine, and when it comes up, he still has just as much control as I do, okay? But y'all see a lot of people fidget. They'll pull it out of their gear, okay? Talking about vests and stuff. Down here, Easy for me to get, index, and pull out and insert into the gun. Coming out of the vest may be a little different story, okay, because now I may have to get a snap off and I may just get the end of it. And now you see how much contact you've got on the magazine. That can be a bad thing because you'll see a lot of shooters start to bobble. They won't get it in and they'll get frustrated, and they just get more and more frustrated as they try to work it, and then it just becomes a horrible reload. Okay, so again, find the best way that works for you. Okay, efficiency, break it down mechanically. Does this work for me rounds forward, or does it work better for me with the beer can grip? Okay, as you run your magazines around your gear, I like to have mine set up on my left side with the beer can grip, but as I go over to my right side with the magazines, which you'll see some of the guys have mags all across their front, I'll actually switch them around, and then I'll do the finger index. Okay, so again, thinking about your gear and setting it up properly just sets you up for success.
All right, basically what we're going to cover, what I'll cover with you is I'm going to cover the admin reload. When we come out here, just loading our weapon system, getting bullets in it, and doing it in a safe manner. What we're going to look at here is I'm going to take this weapon system. I can verify into the chamber. I have it up into my workspace. At that point, I can reach, index my magazine. One of the things that I'm going to look at is where the bullet placement is in the mag. Obviously, these are staggered, so I can see that it's feeding off the left side. So as a good rule of thumb, it doesn't really hurt. It's value added. I can say left. I insert it into the gun, rolling the gun in this fashion, and I'll utilize the ping pong paddle that's located on the left-hand side of your gun. Push the bolt forward, and then when I remove the magazine, it's feeding off what now? The right. So generally at that point, that round should have went into the chamber. That is one way in which to do a press check. Okay, so we're incorporating an admin load and also a press check. The other way is to actually take this weapon system, use the charging handle, pull back, see brass, and let it go. The key here is to not ride it, because if you ride it, look what just happened to my gun. It actually did not seat all the way. And that is one reason why a lot of people prefer the other method of press checking, to make sure that that round is seated in the chamber. Does that make sense? So there are two options out there to do. What did I say the benefit is if you end up pulling this one back? How do you need to let it go? Do you ride it? Just let it go and make sure it seats. If you need to, you can utilize the forward assist. And one of the things that I'm also preparing myself for, and I want you guys to understand, this is just admin reload. But the big picture here is all these little fundamentals of efficiency that we're working on in training start translating. So if I did a shooting and moving drill and we had to actually go into doing a speed reload, what you would find is this admin load looks similar to a speed reload. And in doing so, I look over the muzzle and I can actually see where I'm walking it with my vision, which is extremely important. So what we're trying to do is build on those fundamentals from the get-go, practice them so that everything is consistent. Everything that I do is consistent. What I'm going to have you guys do is get online. I'm going to have you guys do an admin reload.
Go ahead and look at the top of the magazine. Which side is it on?
Right.
Okay.
Make sure you get a good seat. And then the old Kalashnikov, manning up. So it's generally great to lock that bolt back to the rear when doing an admin reload. Also ensure during this process that your safety's on. So in a sense, when I lock that bolt back to the rear, it allows me to engage the safety, which I like. So I already start off with the weapon system on safe, and then when I charge that weapon system and go bolt forward, the safety's on. So if I did break one of the firearm safety rules, what would be there to back me up? The safety. So this is Tammy's prone position. Right now, if Tammy was to shoulder the gun and actually fire, if you notice, all that recoil is going into this point of her shoulder right here, okay? And basically, there's nothing over here to back it up. Does that make sense? So what we want to do is we want to put the body mass behind the gun. So we want our head, our skeleton, all the way down, our feet into a position to where that recoil basically blows right out the bottom of our feet. So now, look at just a slight variation of what Tammy did. Now, when you look at it, she's shouldering the gun here, and we're putting body mass behind that, like we talked about earlier. Now, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna have you move your legs apart, Tammy, just a little bit, and then take your feet and point them outboard. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep these heels down. One, we don't need to keep them up off the ground. if she does one of these, a lot of the tendency is a little bit of movement, and that translates all the way to the gun. And we don't want that. We want to isolate your movement so you're behind that gun, and all you're really doing is aiming the gun and engaging with the trigger. So really, in a sense, if we can get into the right position, all that we want you to be responsible for is sight alignment, sight picture, and trigger control. For me, if I get behind the gun, I was going to prone out, get that gun up, keep my heels down. Some of you guys may not be that flexible. This position right here where your feet are, that may be as far as your ankles and feet actually go. So as an instructor, it doesn't do me much good to sit there and keep pushing down on your feet because they keep popping back up. But just understand that you want to try to get as low profile as possible. Okay, you're going to be in this position so the weapon system is on fire, ready to go. Once you get in behind your target and you're in position, your finger goes on the trigger. You're going to notice on some of your triggers you have a little bit of slack. Take up that slack. All right, give it a slow press to the rear. The gun goes off. Notice I did not take my finger off the trigger yet. The gun will cycle. When the gun cycles, as long as I'm still in a shooting position, I let out to reset. If for some reason during this phase, I just need to take a breath, take a moment, then at that point, I'll release, put my finger outside that trigger well, okay, trigger guard. Anytime that you're not firing for a consistent amount of time, whatever that is, and you need to take a breather, I would advocate flipping your gun back on safe. When you're ready to shoot again, disengage the safety, put your finger on the trigger, and a slow press to the rear.
Each and every one of you, go ahead and get down behind your weapon systems right now and get in that nice, comfortable prone position. Make sure your spines are aligned with the rifles. All right, get your feet nice and flat. Extend your legs out.
If you can, we try to keep the magazine off the deck, mainly because it can cause a weapon malfunction, okay? If you have pressure pushing this way on the magazine, if you keep forward pressure, meaning if the magazine is actually now going this way forward, there's a good chance you're going to have a malfunction. So that's why, as a rule of thumb, you want to keep that magazine up off the ground.
It comes down to a gear issue. If you have doubt about your gear not working on the ground, then don't put it there. They should be reliable on the ground. So if you ever get on the ground, you fire, you know, it's a good test. Put all the weight on your weapon system on the magazine, fire some rounds out, and if you have a malfunction, I'd suggest throwing that magazine away and getting another one. All right, Tammy, we're gonna fix you. You're a little crooked, okay? All right, go ahead and let go of the weapon system. Let's go ahead and push this in just one notch, okay? Now, go ahead and straighten your body out. Let go of the weapon, pretend it's not there for a second, okay? There you go. All right, if you're having problems with this stock position, the best thing to do when you're shooting iron sights is kind of get your nose really close to that charging handle, okay? It's a good reference point.
Now, one of the things that we can do when we get ready to sight in, I'll have you guys sight in on a target, then I'll have you close your eyes, open your eyes, and make sure that you're still in that same position, okay? If all of a sudden you realize after you close your eyes that you actually have to move your gun, then you have to move your whole body position over, because I do not want your muscles holding a gun into position. I want the gun to be in position and you to just manipulate your trigger finger. We want to set and establish our baseline, so we're going to utilize our iron sights first. And then if you're running a red dot optic, no matter what type it is, then the great thing is we can co-witness to where our iron sights are. So what we're going to do first is we're going to fire a group with our iron sights. We're going to get that group on target and move it to where it's point of aim, point of impact. So basically where you're pointing, those rounds are going.
The sights are here, then move your entire body to get it here, okay?
From there, what we're going to do is we're going to take our dots and move it to the front post of our iron sights. And what we're trying to accomplish is we know our sights are already good to go. We know that the bullet impact is point of aim, point of impact. So by cranking our red dot down to the tip of the front sight, it saves us a lot of work down range.
Anybody here know what respiratory pause is? Okay. When we're breathing, if you look at it on a graph scale, okay, when I come down on my breath and I exhale almost completely out, we're at the bottom of your natural breath. There's about, if you were to hold your breath there, about 6 to 8 seconds is respiratory pause before your body really needs to kick in autonomously and start to breathe again. In that 6 to 8 seconds is the best time to break that shot. Consistent trigger pressure to the rear is what's going to make it work. If you start to anticipate that trigger pull, you pull and squeeze, you're going to see a difference on your target. Basically what we want to have is
center sight alignment sight picture. So you want to center that front sight post right inside that circle, okay? And the impact of the round should be at the tip of the front sight post.
Each and every one of you go ahead and get down behind your weapon systems right now.
All right, 3 rounds. 3 rounds, then safe, and then stand up, and we'll know you're ready. Line's hot. All right. Right there where you have it is not a good consistent position. You want to, and I'm actually going to cause you a little bit of pain. Now put that pain on that's it right there. So you want to get that pad right on there. Nice. All right, fire that. What I want you to do this time is just tell me when you're good to go, and I'm going to pull the trigger for you. Actually aim at the dirt this time. I don't want to screw the group up. So aim to the left of your target. All right, are you ready?
Ready.
Feel that?
Yep.
Gun's tight, right?
Yep.
I'm going to fire the gun. Here's the difference. Notice I did not come off the trigger. I let out, feel the click, slack. So what you were doing before is your finger was jolting off the trigger. That's going to translate over when we're starting running and gunning. I want you following through. Fire, reset, fire, reset, fire, reset. I don't want you in the habit of coming off the trigger until you're done shooting, all right? All right, you're good to go now.
Take a deep breath. Exhale. Okay, exhale. As you're exhaling, you're putting the finger on the trigger. Clear front sight, squeeze.
We're gonna zero this in, right?
Yeah, did you just fire 3?
Yeah.
So I have no clue where it is on the paper right now. And we're gonna walk down there and we're gonna go find out where it's at, and then we're gonna make adjustments. All right, guys, line's cold, downrange. The sight system is designed so that you have to first put lead downrange. When it prints downrange, you then follow the directions on the sight. Either move it left, move it right, just like the directions say, or move it up or move it down. And what you're looking at is, well, what am I moving up or down? You're moving bullet impact. All right, Justin, so basically right here what we're looking at is your shot placement. We need to actually adjust your windage over to the left. So on this sight, you notice that there is an R. And if you go clockwise, of course, it's gonna move that group to the right. So which way do we actually need to move it though? Okay, so we gotta go left, so of course counterclockwise. And what I would do based at 25, since we're in closer, and this is generally designed for 100 yard. So generally on these type of sighting systems, it's 0.75 MOA, so 3/4 of an inch at 100, except we're at 25. So one click is 0.75 at 100. So if we get up close and personal at the 25-yard line, are you clicking more or less?
More.
Exactly. So I would probably go 6.
Okay, this was your one flyer out of the group. That's why I had you shoot me another one just to see where we're sitting. So we are going to have to go to the right. We have to move your sights to the right. Okay. 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go 10 right now and just see where that gets us. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Elevation. We may need to move you down. We'll move you down. I'm going to come down 2 clicks on your front sight post. Okay. On your front sight post, if you turn it to the right, that brings the strike of the round up. So we want to go opposite of that. Okay, we want to go to the left.
All right, Chris, so what I basically just did, I took a shell casing off the ground, I dented it, so it actually will clamp onto the sight. Clockwise moves group up, counterclockwise moves bullet impact down. Try that right there, and let's see what that does. So take your time, fire 3 more, okay, Chris?
Squeeze consistently to the rear. Squeeze. Constant pressure. All right, everybody safe and hang. Downrange, check out your shot.
Your front sight still needs to come up. So basically you saw we did like a 1/4 turn and it didn't go all the way up. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. And what I do is I just remember that I did 3 up and they were full revolutions.
It's 1/4 inch at 100 yards. So we're at the 25, so we're probably gonna have to crank it up.
Yeah, we are.
We're gonna have to put a lot of dope change on your
All right,
gun.
let's head back. All right, great job, guys. We started off at the 25. 25 is always a good reference point, especially if we're coming out here manipulating iron sights and optics. It's very good, especially if your optic's brand new. Now, a couple things that we definitely want to highlight, especially for those that may not have caught all the details, and that is Once I zero my iron sights, the next thing that we're doing is co-witnessing our irons with our red dot. And what we're looking at doing at that point is the shooter needs to look through the rear sight, find the red dot, and then at that point, take that red dot and put it on the front post of the gun as a reference point. Then you're gonna basically, after that is completed, fold that rear sight out of the way. Now what you're going to notice is as soon as you fold that rear sight out of the way, your front sight or your red dot is actually going to be in a position above your front sight, and that is okay because you are forcing in the beginning to look through everything so it's always in alignment, and then when you just look through the optic, it's above that, and that is fine. So for instance, like Shelly, she can take her rear sight and fold it down.
For BZO purposes, or when you're firing at a far distance with optics, you want to turn down the brightness levels on the optic. Get it as dim as possible to where you can see and focus on the target.
Right now we're on the 50-yard line, and you guys just got done confirming at 25. We're backing up to a 50, so I want you guys shooting point of aim, point of impact, so your impact should be dead center of that orange at 50 yards.
The farther you go back, the more your fundamentals are going to have to really kick in, okay? That nice sight alignment, sight pitch, or clear front sight if you're using irons today only, okay? Focusing on that target and centering that red dot inside the aperture of the tube or box or whatever you're using, whichever type of optic you're using. Trigger control, consistent pressure straight to the rear, okay? Don't slack it, don't move it in different consistencies. Straight pressure to the rear. Reset, follow through, make sure you're shooting on respiratory pause, all right?
Listen up, when you're shooting red dot, there's no reason why you should not have both your eyes open. Under stress, your eyes are gonna bug out of your head, and you need to just keep both of your eyes open because that's what you're naturally gonna do, okay? Those of you that can shoot both eyes open iron sights, I would recommend that as well. Give me 2 more shots, Chris. You're in the orange. That's a hit, dead center. Right next to that last round. Great job. Those were your last 2. So basically what started happening is your last 2, you got tired on me. Right here, in this position, you fired here. You took that one right there, right? So I basically raised your sight. This was your next shot after I raised your sight. This was your next shot. Then these 2. Yeah, you might as well just pulled some rounds out of a magazine and thrown them on the ground. Take your time. When you get tired, just take a breather, stop shooting. It'll be more beneficial to you because when you find yourself fatigued, especially when zeroing your gun, you just need to bend your gun, take a break, take a breather, focus. Sometimes your eyes get tired, that's okay, and then get back on your gun when you're ready to do so, okay?
Okay guys, we've done our BZO now. The next thing we're going to go into is a little more up close and personal type shooting, okay, which is what this kind of class is based around, defensive shooting stuff. Okay, we've got our battle sight zeros on the weapons. We're moving forward in the dynamic realm, okay? We're going to talk about stance. I'm going to use Chris as an example here, all right? Let's look at it. It all starts with the feet. We'll work from the feet and talk our way up with the stance, all right? You can see right now he's kind of nice and relaxed. He's in a standing like you would normally stand around in conversation mode or whatever. But he's not really balanced too well. If I was to push him back, he doesn't have the weight shifted where we want it. So the first thing we want to do is shift our weight forward into the balls of the feet. This is generally going to give him more balance now, so if I try to push him, he's a little bit more sturdy. And if I pushed him hard enough and he did move, he would be able to punch right back into his stance. Next thing we talk about is the knees. He's going to have a slight bend in the knees. He's going to have a forward bend in the waist. He's not going to kick his butt out, okay? He's going to slightly bend forward in the waist. He's not straight up and down, all right? He's putting his weight into the weapon, so it gives the bolt a rigid abutment to recoil against, okay? If you were to put this weapon against a concrete wall and pull the trigger, that's what we want, all right? So we would need to replicate that concrete wall. Moving up the body. Let's talk about the shoulders. Notice his shoulders are nice and tight. He's got good tension set. He's rolled them in into the weapon, all right? He's putting more of that forward pressure into the weapon to help with that recoil abutment, okay? Next thing is elbows. Notice his elbows aren't chicken winging, okay? How many of you guys seen that in the movies? All right, we don't do that. We keep them in tight. First of all, we don't want to get them shot off. Secondly, it keeps that tension set through the shoulders and translate down through the arm and then into the weapon. Moving forward, notice where his stock is, all right? His stock is not up and out of the shoulder. Go ahead and show that up really high. You'll see, guys, they'll bring the weapon up to their face, okay? All right, which is good if you're down here bringing the weapon up to the face, but a lot of times guys will stand straight up, and you can see where's the center line of bore. It's coming right over his shoulder, just like that prone position we talked about. We want to get rid of that because when he shoots right now, it's going to recoil over the top of his shoulder and his body. Even though his body's in a good stance, it's not going to translate. So he needs to get behind the weapon, put his shoulders into it, and that's going to control the recoil. Notice his head is down on the stock. So if he lowered his weapon down to the low ready, all right, and he drove it up on the target, you notice his head didn't go to the gun. His gun came to his eyes, okay? Because our eyes, I kind of picture them as laser beams. I'm picking out my targets, and I'm bringing the gun up into that laser line. If we're moving our head down, we're probably going to be kind of inconsistent getting that cheek weld every time. Where if he gets into a good stance and drives the weapon up, notice his cheek weld's the same every single time. It's consistent. We'll talk about the grip on the gun. Notice his grip, he's got a high tang grip just like if we were holding a pistol right now. So make sure you get the same grip every time. If we have 1,000 variations of something, it's just working against us. All right, here we go. Vertical foregrips, guys. Not just a cool guy feature, all right, but a lot of people think that it's there to hold on to and grip, okay? It's not. All it is a reference point. You want to find a nice neutral position. You don't want it way far out where you're overextending your reaction hand, and you don't want it so close where you have minimal control of muzzle sway. When you transition from target to target, you don't want to transition and have a sway. We want to be able to transition and stop right where we want to stop. And that's where the good neutral position of the vertical foregrip is going to come into play. Notice where his thumb is. All right, how many guys grab a vertical foregrip like this? Reach around underneath. Okay, no big deal. But we're going to change that today. The reason why we're going to change that, okay, is because putting the thumb high center line of bore is going to help with control of stopping on that target when we start getting into multiple targets and stuff. All right, you have 100% more control of the weapon system like this than if you were wrapped around with a tennis grip or something like that. Okay, now it's a reference point. He's just using his hands and he's just kind of resting it in there. That's why I kind of like the stubby grips, the smaller, shorter grips, because I don't really use all this down here. Yeah, Andy, can you come out here for a second?
Andy, I'll have you
Let me demonstrate now somebody that's not using a vertical foregrip. All right, there's basically, I break the grips down in 3 types. You've got 3 different types of weapon systems in the AR world, okay? You've got your standard KISS rifle, which is pretty much what he's running here. Okay, you've got your full-length rifle systems like Chris's SPR back there, or a competition upper, all right? And then you've got your tactical systems where you're running lights and lasers and all kinds of accessories, and that you need more of a reference point system, you know, like what Chris is running with lights and optics, all right? Now, KISS system this will apply for the AK guys, because generally the same grip. All right, notice his grip is a little bit farther back to the rear. That's okay, all right? For his body position, he's kind of a shorter guy. That's what may fit him. That's what may be efficient for him. But the best thing to try to do is get that hand out a little bit more, especially if you've got a longer barrel, all right? Go ahead and break that thumb, center line of bore, kind of like if you were shooting a pistol. You want your thumbs kind of pointing straight forward. It's a good reference point when you're driving from target to target, all right? But you're maintaining 100% more contact on the weapon, and if he was to transition right now, he would be able to stop it much better than if he had a magazine grip. Okay, I see a lot of people do that. Magazine grips are great and all that, but that was utilized back in the MP5 subgun days with little tiny short barrels when that was okay and you could still maintain 100% control of the weapon. But nowadays we've got these longer weapon systems, a little bit more weight out front. We're running lasers and big compensators, suppressors. Okay, so we need to have kind of a more forward center line of bore grip. It's just going to maintain overall control.
What you're going to have to do after we do a few drills is actually move your pistol grip, your vertical foregrip, forward, back, wherever you get it to where it actually works for you. So don't just leave it there. If it's not working for you, if it's not set up for you, put it where you need it.
Okay, we're now up at a closer range. We're at about the 5-yard line. All right, Chris is going to demonstrate some simple groups on the target, and we're going to talk about some issues that you're going to encounter when you start getting up close and personal. We know we have a BCO at 50 yards right now. We've confirmed that, but now we're going to see how it's affected up here at close range when we go point of aim, point of impact.
I'm going to aim at dot number 1. So I'm gonna hold my dot dead center of dot number 1. And what you're gonna notice is the impact is not gonna be there. So I'm just gonna take my time, get into my stance. Same thing that you guys are gonna do. Bring the weapon up. My thumb rides on to safety the whole time. I leave my thumb on there. So if anything happens, I disengage it and get rounds on target immediately. So again, stance, everything's good. Get the gun in, find out where you need to. I'm gonna aim dead center.
We got a height over bore ratio. Look at these optics. Look how high that dot sits above your bore. Okay, that's called height over bore. You can see that. Look at Chris's sights here. He's got about a 2.5 inches above his bore to his red dot. Okay, maybe a little bit more even. What do you got up here on the target? About 2.5 inches, a little bit more, right? Okay, so keep that in mind when you're shooting, up close and personal.
Okay, so now where do I need to aim if I'm gonna get a round somewhere near dot number 1? Somebody tell me where I need to aim. So here, just break it up, somewhere in there. That's actually where I'm gonna aim.
Now, let's say, okay, we're shooting a human being at this range. Is this still effective? Of course it is. Okay, we know that. But the only time that's really going to come into play is if you're like in a hostage situation and you got to take a good small shot. Your target's not really presenting itself that well to you. He's hiding behind a wall and all you see is the top of his head. You need to take that in consideration. You're going to hit the wall in front of him.
All right, so the drill that we're going to have you guys do, we're going to have you fire 2 shots. I'm going to have you fire 2 shots into the center box. And basically what you're going to do is check your stance, make sure the weight's on the balls of your feet, everything that Travis just got done saying. Bring the gun up, disengage the safety, fire off your 2 shots, give me a good scan. Now you can do it old school fashion. I'm here, I do the old gun turret back and forth, or you can kind of lower the gun, look left, look right, which is probably a little bit faster because you can just move your head back and forth, and then if all of a sudden you see something, you just drive the gun right over into that location.
All right, let's talk about controlled pairs. Controlled pairs is pretty much what Chris shot the first time. Boom, boom. He got a sight picture every single time he fired. Okay, just like you guys were doing back there. All right, you can of course speed that up when you get up here, but when you speed it up really fast, you end up getting a flash sight picture type of shooting. Demonstrate a control pair. Control pair first. All right, now he's going to do a hammer drill. This is where stance really comes into play, because if he didn't have good weight shifted forward, his rounds would have probably drove up the target.
Bust him!
2 rounds, guys, 2 rounds.
Gotta get it in that box. You see those are low. Stand by. Bust them! Hold a little higher.
Don't forget your search and assess, guys. Let's start building that primacy in right now. Let's start learning the right way from the get-go. Be consistent. Okay, that's where shooting starts, is in the mind.
Throw it!
Don't stand up. You guys are squatting down, you're shooting, and then you're standing up. You stay squatted, stay in that natural crouch. All right, you kind of really bladed, okay? Try to fix this. You may have to put your stock in a little bit because you're a little shorter. Okay, you're kind of like this. What we want, watch my shoulders. We want to drive forward. See how my back is straight across now? So if I had a pistol in my hands, what would I be doing here? If I had a pistol in my hands, I'd drive it straight out, right? Okay, if it's not a pistol, it's a rifle. Did my body position change at all? No. I'm still isosceles even with that rifle. So if we can get that going, that's going to be the best shooting platform we can get into.
Just like Travis said earlier, if this was a human or something that you needed to engage and put down, would that have worked? It would have. But for right now, we want to actually get you thinking about what you're doing, and that is, hey, there is a little bit of standoff here. I need to take care of it. So what I want you to imagine is if this is dead center, then where do I hold my dot? Slightly above. And that's what you guys basically told me here on this target. You said, Chris, hey, I said, where do I get a hold? And you said, somewhere above the circle to get my dots, to get my shots there. And you're absolutely right. So take that knowledge that you guys just gave me and apply it to yourselves, all right? And while we're out here the whole day, you need to think about where is your shot gonna go. We talked about on the admin reload, we're taking this weapon system, and when we manipulate it, we're doing everything in our workspace. There's something else that you need to consider, and that is, why did the gun stop working in the first place? I'm pulling the trigger, I'm in the middle of an engagement, and the gun stopped. And what we're looking at here today is primary weapon only. So you do not have a handgun being a secondary weapon system. I don't know why it stopped functioning, but I know it did. So what I'm going to do, when I'm in this position, I'm firing, nothing happens, I'm going to roll the gun slightly. By rolling the gun slightly, I'm going to look into the chamber. That'll help me verify whether it is an empty mag. Bolts locked to the rear. At that point, go into doing a speed reload. However, if you see a shell casing sticking out of the gun, I need to treat that slightly different. If I have a double feed, I need to treat that slightly different, and we'll go into malfunctions in a little bit. Right now, what we're going to concentrate on solely is the speed reload. Once I verify that the chamber is clear, I'm then going to roll the gun slightly over, index my magazine, insert, ping pong, and bring the gun right back up.
You guys notice how deliberate Chris's movements are? He doesn't move unless it's deliberate and to the point. Okay? If we start kind of doing our own thing and moving the gun around, we're building in training scars.
With this particular technique, what this helps is, if for some reason a group of us are making movement, I'm firing, I look, it's empty, I keep making movement, I dump the magazine, I can still see downrange what's going on. So I can still see downrange, I can make movement, index, bring my weapon system up, and get it back up into the fight. So at that point, if I was doing it down here, I may not, one, have no clue where that threat just moved. He could have moved from the building to behind the car. So by the time I get the gun reloaded and go back to where the corner of the building is, guess what? I'm taking fire from another location because I had no clue he just shifted positions. Because on the flat range, these things stay here. Out there in the real world, they move all over the place and they generally fire back at you. So it's extremely important fundamentally that we have some type of consistency. That consistency is getting that weapon system up into my workspace. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It has to be where your body mechanics will facilitate it. You'll notice that Travis is not going to cant his weapon system as far as I do. There's nothing wrong with that because there's consistency and efficiency in that movement. So we're going to have you try it this way. When moving from one position to another, whether I'm behind a barricade, this technique works pretty well. When I'm in this position, of course, the gun's on fire. My finger comes off the trigger because the gun stopped working. I bring it right up to the magazine release. I'm figuring it's probably just empty. I don't know yet. So as I bring the gun up and I chamber check and notice right then that it is empty, I'll depress and roll the gun. Get it indexed into your workspace where you need to, get that magazine in, hit that ping pong paddle, and get it loaded.
You want to have that magazine well in your peripheral vision. That's why he's doing that good deliberate rotation so he can see what he's doing. He doesn't want to take his eyes off of the contact in front of him because, again, like he said, he doesn't want the guy moving to another position while he's trying to sit here concentrating on his gun.
So what I want you to start getting used to is actually feeling, and you will feel the difference generally as a shooter once you start experiencing it, that bolt locking back to the rear on an empty mag. You'll feel that jolt generally. So I'll demonstrate basically what I want you guys to do. We're going hot. Take your time. I'm going to have you bring the weapon system up. Look, roll, insert. I scan, safety's on, drop the weapon back down, okay? Travis is running a slightly different setup.
All right, I think you guys are starting to figure out that or if not, you will, that I'm really about speed and efficiency because in that time of life situation, that's what matters to me. You know, accuracy is final. You'll hear that a lot, but you know what? Speed is really final. To get that accuracy in motion, you got to have speed. Basically, what I've done off that concept of speed and efficiency is I like to run a ready mag system. It's obviously a personal preference. If you don't like to have all that weight in the gun, some people don't, that's fine. I do. I like to have my weapon and ammo at the ready and have a kind of a readiness system going here. I never, ever, ever want to reload from my pouches because it's too slow. I'm pulling off snaps, I'm pulling off Velcro, or I'm just reaching in an inconsistent, not an efficient mode. Okay, so what I like to do is I'll run my gear on a vest like you guys are doing. You'll see that tomorrow. But I also run primary speed loads from my hip, okay, because this is the fastest economy of motion to right here into the gun. All right, the next fastest system and which completes my cycle of ammo readiness, is a ready mag system. So I have a magazine in the gun, and then I've got a magazine in my ready mag. So now I have ammo at the ready. The next thing that I've done is I've incorporated this battery assist device. Okay, it's a simple lever system that enables me to control the battery of the weapon with my trigger finger. I can lock it to the rear without actually taking my hand and putting it here, reaching over the top, and then locking it to rear, which you guys pretty much have to do in your systems. All right, and I can send the bolt home from here without slapping the side or pressing, okay? So that to me takes out 2 or 3 steps in the manual of arms. Then that to me makes me faster, right? All right, you can see how much more efficient that was, and I didn't have all this motion and grabbing and stuff here. All of the work was done in my workspace, okay? Now, I've ran dry again. All right, my bolt's locked to the rear again. My ready mag's out of ammo. Say I sat there and I fired 60 rounds with the guy. Next thing I'm gonna do is go into that ID, check, and now I'm doing basically the same thing Chris was doing earlier, except using my trigger finger to manipulate the battery assist device and get back into action. Now, if once I get in this situation and I've used my ready mag, that's when I get a lull in the fight, and we're going to go into tactical reloads here in a second. But I could, instead of tactical reloading my weapon system, I tactical reload my ready mag. And now I'm set up for that quick speed reload again. All right.
This drill is on your own. You will fire at all times 2 rounds, center mass. Bust them. Chamber check, mag release, good. Hustle, 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 hustle.
Keep the weapon up, keep it up, keep it up. The only thing that should really be working is your arms and the weapon system.
Give me 2 rounds. Good job. Now you notice when you fired that second shot, I saw you kind of rock back on your heels. That lets you know that, hey, your stance really isn't that great for a good sustained gunfight.
You notice the index when you went like this?
Yeah.
You're fumbling, okay? If you continue to find yourself doing that, try a different grip. And again, the gear is going to dictate how you grab it. See, I can easily grab mine.
Right.
You're coming from back here.
Right.
So we're really we're really working against efficiency, believe it or not, okay?
Right.
I'm seeing a lot of people are engaging, they're looking, and they're standing up. And you're grabbing your mag, and you're kind of taking your time, you're inserting it, sending the paddle home, and you're kind of hesitating. All right, let's get rid of that hesitation. Let's get rid of the anticipation. Don't get confused that we want you to go super, super fast. I don't care how fast you go from shot to next shot in your speed reload. I care about you being deliberate with your individual motions. If you make the decision to rotate the gun, don't rotate it and look, okay? Rotate and look. See what I'm saying? That's where I want your efficiency in your deliberate movements. Boom. And then stop and go, okay, what am I supposed to do next? That's where we care about your speed and efficiency, not in the overall, the time of the thing.
So our goal right now is when you're manipulating that weapon system and it runs dry, you treat that thing with a sense of urgency. All right, let's do it again. You ready? Do you have a spare mag? Yeah, but you know what you hit? Okay, so you have one going this way and you have the other one going that way. You know, I rode the little bus to school, and I don't think I ever saw you on my bus.
It was
But I think you should have been on my bus. All right, here we go. Now you at least have them consistently. Good. Nice. That was better. So what you basically did was you straightened up your magazines, so you have them at least in a consistent manner, and now you're starting to roll that gun and flex that gun a little bit to where you're actually able to consistency.
I've actually been able to get a hold of it, because before I was limping them in there and slapping them.
No, you were. Well, you had some kind of like little, like, look at the bird. It just flew away. Because all I know is I saw your magazine. When you pulled it out, you were like, but it went in. I don't know how you actually got it in. So, all right, good deal.
All part of the trick.
All right, the next thing that we're gonna work on is a tactical reload. The speed reload, obviously something has happened. We're out of rounds. We're in a gunfight. We need to get rounds back in the gun as fast as possible. Now what we're looking at is there's a difference. There's a lull in the gunfight. And if we can, we want to try to top off our weapon system. We want to try to keep it fed with ammo and a fresh supply of ammo as long as possible. throughout the gunfight. However, though, there kind of has to be a lull. If there's a lull, and I look at a lull as time and opportunity, time in which to do it. You have to have time in which to do it because it takes a little bit longer to do. Not much longer, just a little bit longer than a normal speed reload. Secondly, I need opportunity. That opportunity can be a good piece of cover. And remember, cover is in direct relation to what the threat is shooting at you with. So, you know, hiding behind, you know, a wood barricade, depending upon that weapon system, it may not be a good place for you. So just remember that as far as cover is concerned. But when we're doing attack reload, we're looking at time and opportunity. Time in which to do it and the opportunity in which to do it. Now, I may not have a vehicle to hide behind, but what I may have is a partner that can provide me cover in which to actually perform this. Now, couple different things to think about, and I'm going to cover it in a variety of ways because everybody's dressed a little bit differently. For me, I'm running real slick. So I have a magazine in the gun. I have no clue right now how many rounds are left. I do believe that I need to get a fresh magazine up into the weapon system as fast as possible, but I also believe that these remaining rounds could save my life. Whether it's 2 or 3 or 1, I do believe that eventually down the road this thing could save my life. So for me, based on the way I'm dressed right now, what I'm going to actually do is index my magazine, my rear magazine. That would be whichever magazine on your body would be the last magazine you would ever grab. I'll then come up. I will form an L and I'll clamp the magazine to the other one. I'll depress the magazine release and I will turn and insert the mag. You need to make sure it gets seated. Now, if you notice, as I go to pull this magazine back out, I do not have a good grip on the magazine. So I will roll it into my body so I can index it again and put it back into my furthest pouch. The gunfight goes on, speed reload, I index my forward one, and I'm back up. So all my good ammo is always towards the front. Any partials are towards the rear. That is the way I would conduct attack reload on my setup. I'm not going to put it in my pocket. That's not where I normally feed magazines from. I feed from my belt. A good shooter always indexes your belt line or wherever it is that you normally keep your mags, whether it's on a chest rig. 9 times out of 10, that's where the shooter indexes those things first in an emergency situation. If you thought those 3 rounds were going to be vital to your life, and then all of a sudden you realize when you bring up your hand, you don't have any more ammo, and then you're like, oh crap, that's right, I put it in my sock early on. Well, now you got to get it out of your sock and you're in the middle of a gunfight. You probably ought to just had it on your waist because that's where you're probably naturally going to go. Okay, now what we're going to look at is we're going to look at Brian's setup. What's happened now is Brian speed reloaded this mag. It's gone. Grab this magazine. It's gone. This is what he's left with. So what's happened here is he's made a decision to do a tactical reload. He's fed from the rear. So basically he's done his swap. This one's gone into the gun. He's pulled the remaining 3 rounds back out of his gun, right? Whatever it is, whatever is left. And Brian here has decided to basically get this thing stowed. At that point, if he has time and opportunity, he will bump and start consolidating all his ammo forward. If you're running a dump bag, you have the option of doing it this way, which is stowing it back to the rear, okay? Feeding from the rear and putting it back into the pouch. That is your option as a shooter. Another technique that's taught out there is, hey, dump it. Throw it in your dump bag. There's pros and cons to the dump bag. Eventually, you have to stick your hand in there, maneuver around the variety of handgun and primary weapon magazines that are in there, figure out which ones are empty and which ones have the remaining rounds that are going to save your life. The reason why some people do this is they say, hey, listen, do not mix partial magazines with battlefield ammo. And there's a lot to be said about that. That is very important as well. We want to try to keep all the primary weapon ammo, all that good ammo up, running, feeding towards the front end of the gun. So no matter what happens, I'm always trying to consolidate towards the gun, keep my ammo, bumping it up as I can go, as the situation dictates. However, though, there are those times where you may end up dumping it in a dump bag. Just realize if you put survival rounds in a dump bag, you got to go through the mixture. Who knows what you're pulling out? And remember, the bad guy's moving on you. He's still coming. 1911 mag, Twinkie, Cupcake, you know, primary weapon magazine. Oh, there it is, you know, so you finally got to it. So again, you, the shooter, have to determine what you want to do, okay? And we leave that up to you. Now, fundamentally though, I'm going to ask you to grab your last magazine, okay? Does that make sense? So fundamentally, we're grabbing the last mag, whichever is your last mag that you would be grabbing. Now, let's just say that I stressed out. I'm here, I'm in this position, I bring the gun up, right? I go to do my tack reload. Is this the proper magazine? I realize it right about here that I grabbed the wrong magazine. Does anybody know what I should probably do? You're right, Tammy. Keep going. Economy of motion says keep going. However, once I straighten this out, I will bump and consolidate my full mag forward, put this one away, and get back up and do what I need to do. And you know why? Because I have time and opportunity in which to do it. So if you make a mistake, again, we're out here teaching efficiency and problem solving. Problem solve it and fix it.
Get your stance set. Get nice and aggressive. Tactical reload. Okay, see the problem you run into there? That's why we try to, it's like we like to show the L shape, okay? That's why we're doing the L shape, to get that mag out of the way. That's where I run at.
Holy crap, we didn't have our gear straight, did we? Get on that, give me two, give me two.
Tap the magazine, because it was a failure to seat. Rack it, now bang it.
Get the fresh ammo first. Put that back in, put that back in. Mother of God, get a mag in that gun.
Make sure you get a good seat on the mag. When you switch it over, drive it. Good. Yeah, there you go.
Hustle up, hustle up. Mother of God, get another mag in there. We're gonna be running out of ammo. Hustle up, hustle up, hustle up. He's getting up, give me two, give me two. You didn't even get it going. Come on, ping pong. You're running one weapon system, and again, I have to stress that you're running one weapon system, because what you do with a secondary weapon system, the operator at this point, once he experiences a malfunction or any type of malfunction, he's going to go right into generally 50 yards and in, actually engaging with his secondary weapon system. But this is his primary, so he actually has to handle it slightly different, because it's his only weapon at this point. He put a magazine in the gun, he knows it's a loaded magazine. He hasn't even possibly at this point even fired a round off. But what happens is this. He goes to fire the gun, click, nothing happens. The first thing he needs to do is possibly seat the magazine. Maybe it wasn't seated. He taps it. At that point, it locks it into position. He racks, okay? So what we're looking at is slap, pull. All right, nothing happens. He slaps the magazine, pulls the charging handle back to the rear. As he releases, he observes and releases the round going in there. Then there's a step called tap. At that point, he would tap his bolt assist, and then the next one is reevaluate or shoot. The acronym is known as SPORTS. So it's slap, pull, observe, release, tap, shoot. Remember, part of the thing that'll happen here is if you can do the press check like we said in the very beginning, make sure that that mag is locked into place. You should be good to go, but there are just times where you did a tack reload and it just didn't seat all the way for whatever reason. So now we're gonna actually go into it. So we'll walk the verbiage through again. He goes to fire the weapon system. It does not work. He does what? What's the S?
Slap.
Slap, right? Now what does he need to do?
Pull.
Pull. And as he pulls, he observes. What's the next one? He just did it. What's the next one?
Tap.
Release. Release. Now, some people say tap, but you know what? If my gun runs, pretty much once I release, I usually see, because I'm in that observing mode as well, I can do two things at once. As I pull back and release and observe, I'll see it goes all the way forward, and at that point, I just get right back up on my gun. Wasted motion, if you need to, tap it. Other than that, 9 times out of 10, what I see with most guns that are up and running, you don't need to do the tap.
The statistics of people actually having to use their forward assist is 1 in a billion probably. But under stress, you're going to see guys go and they're not going to get back into that tap. They're just wanting to drive that gun back up on target. And if you got a clean running oiled gun, that's what we want. We want to just be able to tap, rack, bang.
And this is one moment where you're actually having to go and grab the charging handle. And what we generally want you to do is grab this portion, or on mine, this portion of the charging handle when you zip that back. I'm not going up over the stock and trying to manage everything in this like claw type fashion. I'm just gripping part of it with my reaction hand.
We don't do this either because this is not good economy of motion, okay? It's kind of awkward. Just rack it.
So it'll look something like this. I bring the gun up, I simulate pulling the trigger again. It does not work. So I come in, tap it, rack it, and
Attempt to fire again. Tap the magazine. Rack the charging handle.
good job observing, Billy. Nice job. Tap it, rack it.
Tap, rack, bang. Do it again. Go. Push it on, follow through with it.
Pull back all the way while pushing down on that. Push this charging handle forward. All right, now we have a double feed. So what I want you to do now is hit the magazine release button and rip the magazine out. Rip it. All right, I want you to see if you can take either your weapon hand or reaction hand, and I want you to just wiggle that and do it. Oh, shit, drop it. Don't even need it. Now, insert your magazine. If you see that that is clear, then you insert your mag, ping pong. Now you're good to go.
Great job, Shelly. I'm getting a little wet right now.
Yeah, but we might get a little.
We can just keep going until it rains, too, and we can always shut down early.
One of the reasons why we did that chamber check yesterday is to determine what condition your weapon's in. What's the problem? Why did it stop working? It's your only weapon system that you have, so before you just start assuming, you have to pretty much do that chamber check, take a quick look, and then make your corrective action from there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you based on my gun, my weapon system, which is pretty much everybody's weapon system out here that you guys are running today, and we're going to look at how to handle it. All that I'm going to do is I put in a magazine, I'll throw one in a pipe, and from there I'm just going to slowly ride another one in. So it's as best as we can do as far as a double feed goes. Somebody who has a little bit of experience in a double feed, I know there's some people here that have taken a class. Walk me through this.
You're gonna rip the magazine out.
Okay.
And then you're gonna pull. Then you're gonna work the charging handle until you're clear.
Okay, that's close. Sometimes, because the double feed locks the gun up so hard, you may not get that magazine ripped out of the gun. So sometimes other people might have suggested one other method, one step to do just before.
Lock it back, take the pressure off the system.
Okay, so what we do is, since that works generally all the time, we will lock it back to the rear. So the first thing I do, once I look and I see that it is in this location and it's locked back, I will roll the gun in, put pressure on the bottom of the ping pong paddle, reach up with my now weapon hand, of course, pull back, run forward. I try to do this a little bit muzzled up. That way gravity will work in for my advantage, right? Strip the magazine. Right there, I just cleared it. So if I just looked and cleared it, at this point, I would go right into doing a normal reload with the gun.
Before we move on, does everybody understand the concept of why we lock the charging handle to the rear? Okay, you guys saw me holding up this mag. It's kind of like a locking bar effect. Okay, sometimes that bolt's push that round halfway in there and you try to pull it out, you've got too much tension on that. So we lock the bolt to the rear to take the tension off the magazine so it'll fall clear.
I'm going to do it again, and we're going to simulate that it's either nighttime or it didn't clear itself. All right, walk me through, Andy. What's the first thing that I do? Gun stopped working.
That's right. Now you turn and look.
Look, double feed.
And now you are going to turn the rifle over.
Put pressure where?
Lock the bolt to the rear.
Okay, outstanding.
Then you're going to put the magazine out.
Strip it.
You're going to look.
All right, I look.
If you're clear. Then
I
you
don't know if
read
it
these
cleared.
two
I
speeds
cycle.
Right.
Looks like it's cleared. At that point, insert, cycle the gun, and then I'm back up, engaging, okay? So does that make sense to everybody? Like Travis said, at nighttime, you don't know if that thing cleared itself or not. And the whole goal here, one of the reasons why we do a chamber check, is because we don't want to take another magazine of 28 rounds and increase the already bad problem that we have fighting for supremacy in the chamber area. So we don't want to assume, we want to make sure we run through and check it. At nighttime, cycle that gun. Hopefully those rounds did come out at that point, but we'll at least rack it a few times. Travis is going to demonstrate, you know, because there are people that do run ready mags, and it has to be handled a little bit differently. And then he's also going to demonstrate it with the prototype device that we have to make it a little more efficient.
All right, yeah, some of you guys have already inquired about ready mags, so I'll go ahead and, like Chris said, demo this. All right, here we go. Okay, ID, lock it to the rear. Okay, strip the magazine out. Rack, 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 okay. Reinsert the magazine, and back in the fight. You can see my hand never left fire control, right? It was always up there, so I can manipulate everything from right here if I need to. I can lock the bolt to the rear, I can strip, rack, rack, rack. So you can see how much more efficient that method is. You can see that the battery assist device is attached to the bolt catch or bolt release, okay? Whatever you want to call it, because it works both ways. It goes down, it goes underneath the trigger guard, and then I can manipulate that right here with the trigger finger. Okay, so when I ID that malfunction, all you have to do is rotate, lock it to the rear. The weapon system is now locked to the rear, okay? When I strip the magazines out, rack, 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 and if I can remember through proficiency and consistency and training, which I try to on a third rack, I'll lock it to the rear. So when I insert that magazine again, all I have to do, press down. Okay, so I just worked out that entire problem, taking out basically 3 steps of the manual of arms to correct a double feed malfunction with just this device. Okay.
So I'm going to have you guys start off in this condition. The gun's up, you're in this position, you look, it's a double feed. I'll roll that gun, release, lock the bolt to the rear, strip it. For purposes, I'll cycle. That one's out. Index the weapon again. And fire. Scan, safety on, and move it from there. Okay, so walk me through it before you're under the gun here.
So we're gonna
Okay, good. Outstanding. What? You just forgot something. There you go. Strip it. Oh, got a lot going on in there now. All right, now when you see that, lock it to the rear. Lock it to the rear right now. That's presenting a bigger problem. Perfect. Now, I want you to take your hand, because you have pressure on the bolt. It's locked to the rear. Take your hand and wiggle it. Okay, that one's out. That one's out. Grab the charging handle. Cycle. Cycle. Perfect. That one's out. Insert a new magazine when you can. Had to handle that one a little bit differently. Cycle. Give me 2 rounds on 6. 2 rounds on 6. Great shot. The problem here is that a lot of people generally don't like to spend a long time covering double feeds, but it's extremely important because one little step like you mentioned earlier, Andy, you might be now fighting to get that magazine out of your gun. So if you don't practice it and start remembering the steps, lock bolt to the rear, strip the magazine, rack, 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 reinsert, or like Travis said, if you can be a little heads up on one of those, you might be able to work the bolt to the rear and lock it, okay?
Look, lock, strip, rack, 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 feed, rack. So if you can get that down in your head, all right, sounds like a lot, but once you get going through those motions slowly, you remember yesterday we were talking about efficiency of movement. If you guys start doing 1,000 different variations, okay, you're gonna screw it up. If you forget to lock that bolt to the rear and you just try to strip the mag out, you can induce even more problems. That's why that lock is so important. Look, lock. That's what I want you guys to concentrate on today right off the bat. That's all we care about, getting those steps down, and then we'll connect the dots with speed later on.
I know you guys have been waiting to do a lot more shooting and moving, so this is what we're going to be working on. I'm just going to have you guys facing down range, warming up. You're going to make sure that when you are aiming today, especially whether it's a triangle, circle, whatever number we call out, you engage that number properly, okay, knowing your hold. So for instance, I'll have you guys come up, get in your normal shooting stance, all the fundamentals apply, okay? So take it seriously. If I call out 4, take your time, bring the gun up, 1, 2. Give me 2 shots. evaluate, make sure there's no more bad guys, get your gun back into position. If I call 3, bring the gun up. 1, 2, scan, same thing. If I call out colors or numbers, be ready to shoot whatever it is that I call out, okay? These targets are great. They're great targets to shoot at and engage because I can call out a variety of things. Like, for instance, you might hear me say 4, 1. Well, shoot 4 first and then shoot 1. I might say 4 and then yellow. If I say 4 and then yellow, at that point, shoot 4 and then shoot anything that's yellow. If I say shoot circles, then at that point, you're going to find the circles and engage those circles. So there's a variety of things that are going to happen, but what I'm working here with you guys is listening. Being able to listen and then actually do and conduct yourselves and manipulate your weapon systems the way you need to solve those problems that I'm giving you downrange. And of course, they're not just, hey, shoot the guy in the chest, shoot the guy in the chest. I actually have to stop and think just slightly to solve this problem, okay?
Get your stances good.
5 and 6. All right, we got to hit those squares and dots and circles. Yellow.
All right, get that weapon going where you want it to go.
4 in blue. Remember, to get the gun into the fight, it's very, very quick. We got to get that gun into the fight as fast as possible. But don't be fast on taking the gun out of the fight. Make sure there's nobody else around. Make sure you've done a thorough scan. Of course, be ready for the next numbers. That's why I'm calling the numbers out fast, because I want you to think. I want you to shoot, engage, and then go, and then all of a sudden you're going to drive your gun to the next dot or square, whatever it is, thinking. All right, listen up. On this one, you're adding. You're adding. I'm going to call out 2 numbers. You're going to add those numbers and shoot the appropriate target. Shooters ready? 3, 2.
Good, get it up, get it up, get it up. Finish the drill if you need.
All right, 2, 4. Get on that reload. Get on that reload, Brian. Give me 2 on 4. Give me 2 rounds on 4. Gotta find it for a second. All right. We know that statistically most threats present themselves from the flank or from behind you. They don't want to generally come right at you on average, because then you're going to see them, and at that point you're going to be able to react to them. So things generally happen from other angles, and that's what we're going to be working on here for this portion. Now, a couple things for you guys that have taken courses before. If I am in this position right here, okay, and that's where my threat is located over there, then at that point, what's one of the first body parts that needs to move? Anybody remember? Your head. Your head has to go first. All right? So I identify. Now, what we want you to do, though, is we want you to very, very quickly, like you normally would if I just fired a gun down over there, you'd normally just go right into, what the heck was that, and turn, okay? And probably start to ID it. We generally will always go into what I call my known. This is my known area. So to get there fast, I already know this terrain. I turn, I look, and I start exploding into the target area. What I generally will not do or not advocate is to do one of these, okay, and back up, because you may or may not know what's behind you. So you want to work in this little circle, but when I make my movement in that little circle, I want to stay within the circle, okay, no need in taking any big leaps or steps to get out of this. It's important, though, to break down that step, break it down as far as head goes, and then explode that body into position. Once that body's into position, your gun's exploding up on target. Then, at that point, take a minute, slow down, make sure your shot's there, your dot's there, your iron's there, and fire the gun. But make sure you're in a good shooting position, good shooting stance, everything that we've been teaching. Fundamentals apply, okay? So it's very, very important. Walk me through it. What's one of the first things I need to do? Turn my head. Now, do I just kind of caveman it in there, or what? What are you probably going to do naturally? You're going to turn with the purpose, right? That purpose is here. Get that gun up. Scan. No more bad guys. Safety on. Bring it back down. Prepare for the drill again. Do it as fast as possible to explode into position. And get that gun up. Shouldering the gun's extremely important. We stay muzzle depressed, okay? As soon as I can actually start my turn, the safety's coming off and the gun's coming up.
This is a safety issue and plus a situational awareness issue. If I'm standing here and we're talking, hey, we're going to go over here next, you know, blah, 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 and all of a sudden he sees a threat, he's not flagging me at all. He can drive into the target. So it's going to be important when we're on the line today and you got your buddies, you guys, standing in front of you. If you guys are swinging up and coming across people's feet or backs, that's a bad thing. Okay, that's a safety violation. We can't have that. So keep in mind, kind of like a stripper on a pole, dance around it, okay? You can move around safely and get to where you want to go as long as you stay in your little cone, okay?
Face right. Stand by. Blue.
Search and assess. Check your weapons.
Red. Reload, reload, mag out, mag in. Hustle up, get it into the fight. Clean that red, clean it. Good shooting, good hits. Stand by. 2, 5.
Guys, don't be in a hurry to get back in this position. Stay downrange, search and assess, check your weapon system, make sure it's ready to go for the next drill. Once you're completely done, then go ahead and turn back into your admin position, okay? Also, when you guys do turn, you see threat. Our eyes want to take in information on a threat. That's why we turn our heads first. It's a natural flinch reaction. Whoa, what's going on? All right, I look, I orient my body, my weapon system comes up, but notice where I'm in. I'm in my natural fighting stance. I went from here in my fighting stance to here in my fighting stance. I didn't just turn and try to drive up and shoot. If I can, I want to get back into that fighting stance and then drive my weapon up and shoot. So that's the goal here, okay?
5, 3, 2, 6, 1. Good job, Billy. Good job. Great reload.
Safety, 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 safety. Take a safety off, take a safety off. Get into it. Get it up, get it up. Fix it. Look, ID, look. What do you got? You got a double feed. Lock. Lock, come on, pull back, lock. Strip. Strip it. Rack. Feed it. Come on, get it up. Rack it. Finish the drill. Good job, Brian. Way to think your way through it.
Squares.
Don't hesitate on the execution command. When you hear a command, no matter what color, what it is, I know it takes about 3/4 of a second for your mind to process that color, okay? But we want to turn and see what color that is, okay? Get the movement down first, and then you can process the information. We got to get our eyes and our body oriented to that so we can see what we need to shoot at.
Situation is going to dictate, and whatever it is that you're trying to get behind is going to dictate, or just the fact that you want to make yourself low profile, or just the fact that when you got startled, you just already, kind of was in this position, jolted yourself down just a little bit, you bring the gun up. Some people cannot shoot all the positions that we're about to cover, and it's basically just squatting. We're going to work you from a squat, then we're going to work to a knee, and then we're going to work to a prone position and urban prone as well. So what we're going to do is, if your body mechanics can, I'm going to start you off in this position. We're looking at center mass shots, and again, just like that natural startled reflex. I'm here, something happens, right? Pin comes up, I engage. 1, 2, square it up to the target. This is the drill. Once you fire your 2, search and assess, then basically stand back up. All right, we're going to try it from that position if that will work with your knees, okay? The next position that we're going to do is, we'll do it at a medium. Squat down just a little bit more and engage. Same thing, all the way down. Search and assess. I could be maybe shooting over the hood of a car, or there's a barrier here. Whatever the case is, I decide that this is a good technique for me. I fire off a few rounds, I move from that position. Some of the things that you're going to have to make choices on out there is going to be, how long do I stay here? Okay? Is it just get the gun up, fire off a few rounds while in a squat position, and then make movement to another position?
If that is, then it's a little bit faster, because as you can imagine, if I'm just here, I can basically make movement and start to another position of cover. So there are some advantages to just squatting down just a little bit. Same thing, I'm in the medium position, or for whatever reason, I drop down and engage from here. And then I get back up and again make movement. All right, let's line it up. Let's roll. High squat, stand by, bust them. Medium, medium, stand by, bust them.
Stay in that good fighting stance even in the squat. Okay, keep that weight in the balls of the feet. Keep those knees bent and keep your forward lean aggressive so you can maintain that recoil.
You're gonna shoot your target and the target to your left. Low squat, stand by, threat.
Good, keep that aggressive lean. Keep that aggressive lean down there.
Now, we're gonna incorporate it on a 90. So you're here in this position, I'll call out medium, turn, get the scan, turn to assess, and then get back into position. Right face, medium.
Fix your legs, fix your stance, get in that good squat.
High, medium, low. 2 rounds per position, and also your partner's target. Stand by, watch your muzzles on your turn. Bust them. All right, safe and hang, safe and hang. Remember, if you had to drop into one of those positions, fire off your rounds, hopefully you neutralized your target, but that's why we do a search and assess. So be careful on hurrying up to do the old pop-up. Okay, does that make sense? I want to see you, we want to see you guys search and assess before you make that commitment to completely pop all the way back up on your feet. All right, so you're going to see a variety of kneeling positions. The goal is to get there quickly, all right? And we want to try to get there as naturally as possible, meaning I don't really want to have to take a step and then get into a kneeling position. I want to try to always do what it is that I'm going to do under fire or under stress, and that's what we want to take a look at here today. And that pretty much is get down. You know, you just drop pretty much right to your knee at that point. And when we look at that, I'm in this position here, something happens, I'm going to have to make a little bit of movement and adjust my feet on the fly as it happens. So I'm not going to be able to just simply go right down and try to get down, because you see this is straight down. That is not comfortable to me. But if I'm in this position and I explode down, I'm pretty much trying to drop in a straight line. This leg's jetted back just a little bit, trying to get as stable as possible. I'm not going to worry about trying to tuck this one back up underneath and shoot. I'm being fired at. I need to hurry up and return fire. And if you have me try to get into this position, one, I probably won't do it under fire. I will probably not take the time to wrap this thing up underneath my ass when I'm being shot at. I'm probably just going to try to get down on my knee as fast as possible and get rounds on the threat as fast as possible. So since that's what we're probably going to be doing, we might as well practice that. So what this particular drill is going to look like, I'm here, I'm in this position, get all tucked in, right where you need to be. And as you can see, I can also, if I have to, as I'm dropping down, my upper body's still in the same position. So as I'm dropping, if my dart is there, I can engage it all the way down. Don't stand up right away. Make sure you're okay. Make sure your buddies are there. When you stand up, I want you guys standing up and getting in the habit of still locking this thing in, still looking around. So don't just stand up and then, there's a point in where you can shake it off once you finish the drill. As soon as the drill's done, if you need to just relax for a minute, work it out, do so. But as far as once you go to a knee, then you go standing, stay in the game, okay? Just for a few more seconds, and then you can relax from there. All right, guys, gals, let's practice it. 2 rounds on your target, 2 rounds on your partners. Bust them.
That was really good, Shelly. I mean, you rolled right there. Your body didn't even really change much position. That was very quick.
Stand by. Bust them. If you're in this position right here, as soon as you go to square up, just drop and engage. What you basically did is, as you're doing this, you stop, put this leg back, then drop to the knee.
Okay.
If you're here, you start to turn, drop right into position, okay? Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Gun!
When you drop into that position, in that kneeling position, keep that same upper torso in the same position, okay? Keep that aggressive forward lean. Nothing should change except your lower body should just collapse. So your upper body should still be that tank turn.
Left face, left face. Stand by. Threat! Hey, Tammy, next time, okay, if you realize you just ended up in not the greatest position, continue to engage the target, then fix your position. Meaning, I saw you were effective because you had the assault, you're out, you engaged, and then what happened was you got into a better position to engage the other target, and I've seen you shoot, so I know you would have been able to engage and then just engage that guy, and then at that point I might have dropped into adjusting my body into a little bit more beneficial position.
Okay.
All right, guys, everybody come in on me. Okay, guys, we talked about squatting, we talked about kneeling. We're gonna keep going down now. We're gonna go into the prone. All right, that's what we're pretty much gonna show you guys. It's kind of natural for you to just kind of drop to 2 knees and then hit the support hand down and fall in towards the target, okay? That's the first method. It's okay to come out like this. Remember, if you're in a tactical situation, you don't want to get your feet shut off, so kind of give yourself a smaller signature. You can get just as stabilized right here as you can out here, okay? When you're down on the deck, same fundamentals apply. I can drive that weapon into my shoulder, and I can fire nice tight shots. Okay, every one of those shots are right there in that X-ring, all right? And that weapon system didn't move. So when you get down here, get a nice tight locked up position. That's what the prone's for. That's the first method. The next method is kind of dropping your support hand down the same way, okay, but kicking out one of your legs, okay, doing that simultaneously. So weak hand, support, leg, dropping back, okay? That way you're staying in that position. I'm not dropping forward, because what if I got that little, maybe a curve or something right there? So I want to support hand, weapon leg, drop down, kick out the support leg, and I'm right in that position. Efficiency is the key. Get into it as quick as possible, just like all the other positions that we've covered. Be deliberate. When you make a decision to move quick. Any questions? Let's line it up. Threat! Tighten that gun up. I'm seeing guns bouncing a lot down in the prone. That gun shouldn't move at all.
Give me five, Billy.
When it's time to get up, all right, I'm gonna get up the same way in reverse. Support hand down, okay, or reaction hand down. I'm gonna drive up, come to a knee, search and assess, because you don't want to stand up into that volley of fire. Just so go ahead and get a good situational awareness from here, and then continue to stand, search and assess again, and then you can relax. All right, we just talked about the prone position. Now we're going to get into some modified prones, okay? There's basically 2 different methods. What this next position I'm going to show you does is allows you to get the muzzle closer to the deck. Say if you had to shoot under a car, under a bed. Okay, it's kind of the hardest thing for people to do. Support hand, you got to think support hand and weapon knee. All right? Knees dropping, support hands down, basically falling to the deck. I want to get back up behind cover. If you're athletic and you can drop into that position nice and quick, let's see it. Contact! Contact! All the way down, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. Roll your body forward on the gun. You feel the difference?
You still have to keep control of your muzzles. You can't just start sweeping that muzzle to the right.
Guys, that's the modified or urban prone to the weapon side. Okay, but we know combat is not always going to be to the weapon side or defensive shoot. The situation may dictate where you need to go to your reaction side. Okay, so we're going to do that next. Okay, dropping down. Okay, support or reaction knee, reaction hand. Boom, falling right into it. Right. All right. You see, I lost a little control of my weapon there. That's fine. I got into that position because he's probably intending to shoot right there. Getting back up, same thing. Stand, boom. See how I'm using that reaction hand and reaction knee, get into that kneeling position, and then driving up. Search and assess, and then we're done. Action is quicker than reaction, okay? So when I see him, I don't have time to go here. I need to change my plan of attack. So hopefully, what he was aiming at, I can get underneath, okay? Hopefully. Here we go, stand by. Good! Because when that gun recoils, it's going to push you back like this. So we got to drive that forward, you know what I mean? Tuck that weapon in, and when you fire, you can fire fast if you need to. All right, here we go. Do it! Good job, Andy. Good job. Good job. Try to drive your shoulder forward, okay? Because you see, as you were shooting, you were recoiling off the side of your shoulder. You want to try to minimize that. So get that nice and tucked in there. Now give me 5 more. Stand on your own, guys. Stand on your own. All right, how we doing? How we doing on ammo? Almost out. Okay, let's go ahead and take a quick break. Let's top off.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a demonstration. Travis is going to run me on this drill. What's basically going to happen is I'm going to say moving, moving, move. My gun will be on fire at this point. As soon as he says move, I'm going to engage my safety. When he calls threat, gun, bust him, whatever it is that he chooses to use, I will disengage my safety, bring my gun up, and engage the target. I'll do my search and assess. After I'm done doing my search and assess, at that point, I will say moving. He'll say move. I'll do the same thing, put the gun back on safe, make movement as if I was moving in my house from point A to point B. Whenever I do feel that I'm about to engage a possible threat, I'll disengage my safety. Like for instance, if I'm searching, moving around a corner of a wall, my thumb's right there, I'm about to break cover, disengage the safety, look, engage, hey, we're good to go. Throw the safety on, I'm walking down the hallway. You know, there's pros and cons to everything. Somebody comes out, I disengage, whoo, man, you know, you get into a lot of the military law enforcement side of the house, you can get into a lot of blue on blue situations. So running your safety is not running it any slower than if I leave it on fire. But if I gotta go hands on real quick, do some different things, it's always good to be in the habit of working that safety and manipulating that safety system. If you can successfully move and engage that target while moving, then do so. But if that target's so small or so far away that it's gonna take you 1, 2, 3, maybe four steps to get bullets downrange, then maybe you just need to stop, engage that, or suppress it, and then make movement again. And then just figure out how you're gonna do that from point A to point B. Couple things, when I make movement, as I move, I'm using I have a bend in my knee. You know, there is a heel-toe method right here. If for some reason you need to take a critical shot and you do not like this technique, then you could probably pause, bang, bang, and work it like that. It's a little unnatural, kind of lifting your leg up off the ground. Some people do it, but you're gonna have to figure out what works for you. I'm trying to keep my upper body as straight as possible so that all that I'm doing is looking over the top of my optic. I'm looking over the top of my optic, it's only slightly below my eye level, and then when he calls bust him, I disengage the safety, bring it up, and engage. Does that make sense? A lot of people here have the tendency to look through the tube or the glass while you're making movement. You're gonna lose peripheral vision. So you do not want that to happen, so take your time on this drill. Call it!
Moving!
Move! Bust them! Call it! Move!
Look to your left and right. Don't get focused down
Bust
range.
them!
Relax, guys. Bring the guns down to low ready. You guys you're focused through that toilet paper roll. Look over your sights.
Don't forget, again, to search and assess.
Search and assess, come back down to the low ready. See how much my muzzle moved, okay?
Good reload, Chris. Call it!
Get out your sights. Bring your weapon down. Low ready. That's how you're going to move. And when he says bust him, drive it up.
Move!
Move. Come down just a
You're
little bit.
not looking through your optic. Over your optic. Bust them. You're slapping the shit out of that trigger, Justin. This is what it looked like. Watch from the side view.
Your whole gun was like jumping. Get on that thing. Work it, okay? Come on, be its master.
Guys, there's a lot of things to think about as you're moving. It's a new drill, but once you hear threat or bust them or whatever the execution command is, once it's time to engage on the target, okay, you need to be able to decipher between that motion, that new thing that you're doing, and once you stop and engage, you need to focus back to the caveman, the fundamentals.
Guys are ending up in a weird position, bladed towards the target, which means now if I called out a threat over there, you'd have to literally change your foot position just to engage it. Rather than when I stop and you're making movement and I say bust them, you plant, post up, engage. I can take that guy and I can take this guy. Okay? We want you to be able to move and shoot from that position. All right, Justin, I got to work on you, man. You're kind of like walking. It's kind of like this cowboy action, all right? We got to get the feet. The reason why we start doing this, right, is because later on down the road, when we start doing our engagements, we start moving faster because once those rounds come over your head, you're going to engage. And you might be going in this direction, but you can't kind of do that like weird walk weaver thing. So we've got to work on your feet. That feet process is right here, making movement. No matter which way I'm going, I can engage these targets accordingly, okay? I really want to work on this with you. Go, here we go, just follow my pace. Good. I want your feet to break out, good. Keep going. There we go. Good. Nice. On this one, it's a constant movement, okay? I'm gonna say every time, basically I call bust 'em, threat, gun, just take your weapon system, bring it up and engage, okay? So what's gonna happen is he is going to constantly make movement. Now, here's the great thing. You guys were already looking over the top of your optics, so that stays the same. Of course, your lower body, we've already discussed what your lower body needs to do, and at this point, as he's looking over his optic and I say gun or threat, he's going to disengage his safety, and he's going to engage that target with 2 shots each. He'll look down, do his search and assess very quickly, and then if I say bust him or gun again, he's going to bring that gun back up and engage. But this is one continuous motion now. He is not stopping. He's going to go all the way to the 3-yard line. Bust him. Bust him. Bust him. Bust him. Bust them. Safe and hang. So as you are getting closer and closer, if you can confidently keep your dot or your iron sights on target, then start that cadence of faster, start speeding it up. All right, that's what you should be doing. You want to try to get as many rounds on a threat as possible to neutralize that threat. Or of course there could be more threats. But the bottom line is as you are making movement, what you're going to notice now is your dot, depending upon how you move, may be moving like this. Sight alignment, trigger control, follow through. So what will happen here is, as I bring my gun up, if the dot starts up there and I know it's going down, as soon as it goes down, I start breaking my shots off. I make the next step, it goes back up, fire those shots off again. Do not expect it to be dead center and stay dead center the whole time. However, with good fundamentals of shooting, if you can get that thing shouldered the right way, if your movement can be facilitated in the right way, then your degree of movement downrange will be less and less. As we're engaging, something happens, I look, dump that magazine, insert, and continue that motion.
Malfunction, speed reload, everything that happens to your weapon, you deal with it on the move. Okay? If it takes the entire time to get all the way up there, then that's what you got to do. We want you to keep moving. Okay, 4 rounds, guys, only. When you hear bust them or threat or whatever the execution command is, 4 rounds. Once you finish those 4 rounds, you search and assess on the move, and then stand by for the next execution command.
Call it.
Moving.
Move! Gun!
Keep moving! This is a moving drill. Stop freezing up. Only thing that's moving is a gun.
Moving.
Move!
Square up a little bit more. Square up a little bit more. Keep going. You're good now. Keep
Bust
moving.
them!
Keep moving. Keep walking. Step naturally. Step naturally. All right, you guys can see that shooting and moving is not just hard, it's harder, right? You got to dry practice this. 90% of your practice is dry. Take this home and continue to do this. You can see where our weak points are. All we can do is build from here. All right, guys, we got our barricades up. We got a lot of different shooting positions here that we can work with. The first thing we're going to do is work on keeping our feet behind cover, okay? I don't want to ever step out and shoot somebody. I want to shoot from cover, so minimizing my exposure, okay? So if I can come out right here and engage him and be clear of my cover, is that better than this? Okay, so that's what we want to do. We want to just pop, boom, boom. Notice nothing moved. My feet didn't move, nothing else moved. I'm popping out, boom, boom, okay? Notice I did not pop out, then drive the sights up, and then engage. Okay, this is a little different situation. I know the guy's there. I'm going to go ahead and get into my sights, okay, but I'm still kind of, I've got a soft focus here. My focus, my hard focus is still going to be downrange. I got to pick him up first. There he is. Pop back in. All right, do it again. Pop, back in. So my exposure time was what? Maybe a second and a half, okay? Now, watch this. I'm down, pop, up. So my exposure time is about 2.5 seconds there, okay? I don't have a stopwatch, but I know it was slower than the first method, so I'm gonna utilize the most efficient method, all right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on that. All right, we'll do that drill first. So we're gonna pop out, safety's gonna come off right about here, boom, boom, coming back in, safety's gonna come on, okay? To the left side, a little different. We don't like to expose ourselves because now I'm exposing a lot more than what I want to, but hey, I gotta get that gun out quick and get it into action, all right? You gotta really watch your height over bore here because look what I got. I know I got like 2 inches of good sight alignment, sight picture here, but that barrel is still not clear. So you gotta be conscious of where your barrel is, where your muzzle is. And watch my body. I'm rotating out. Boom, boom. You guys see the rotation? All right. If I lean, look how much more of my body I'm exposing. Okay? So if we can rotate, sights clear, muzzle clears. All right? Kneeling out. Sights clear, muzzle clear. Safety on, coming back in. Any questions? All right, think about minimizing your exposure beyond the barricade. That's kind of the key to this. Utilize your fundamentals too. Don't take that shot until you get a good sight alignment sight picture. Squeeze, bang, follow through, squeeze, bang, follow through. Okay, let's keep working those fundamentals even on these high-speed drills. We're gonna call out a threat and you're gonna lean out, boom, boom. You're gonna come back in, you're gonna wait for the next command, got it?
So I'll say either threat right or threat left. Shooters ready, stand by. Threat right.
Safety back on, safety back on.
Threat right.
Keep your thumb on it right now, put your thumb on it. You're gonna have a high enough chain grip. Hold on, get your high chain grip like that.
Threat left.
Watch your muzzle. Okay. Right on the edge of that, on that barricade.
Right. Left.
Boom, boom. Come back in. Boom, boom. Come back in. Okay. Fix it. Fix it. Get it out. Get it out. Fix it. Okay, now you got a double feed. See? Sometimes some solutions will induce more problems. Rack, 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 rack. Okay, you got that wedge. You got a wedge in there. Lock the bolt to the rear. Stick your fingers up in there, make sure it's out. It is. You can visually see it. Go ahead and rack the slide one more time for good measure. Reinsert the magazine. Rack it. Other hand. Good. Now, right! All right, working ports now, guys. We're not going to the left or right anymore. Make every effort to shoot through this port. If you are, what is it, vertically challenged? Okay, if you're vertically challenged, all right, you cannot get that bore over that thing, then we don't want to take that risk and shoot through that reinforced glass, concrete, steel, whatever it is. All right, so you are just going to go into a squat. Now, the key is this triangle. I keep this triangle there for that squatting position. If you center up that dot in the middle of that triangle, look at my muzzle. I'm probably going to shoot right through here, right? Okay? I want to keep that dot towards the high point of this triangle. Working down, low squat. See how I had to rotate the weapon system? That's what this slot's for. It's an abnormal shape. Again, if I'm right here and my dot's clear, my muzzle is not. Be aware of where your muzzle is. That's the point of this drill. I don't want to see any more holes in wood, okay? We're just going to go 2 rounds circle, 2 rounds triangle, 2 rounds slot. When you get here, drop into that urban prone position. You can see how this is not going to work here. Get that elbow tucked underneath. Get a good sideline side picture. Bores clear. Press, press. When you're done with that, get back up, get behind that cover, pop back up. And then you're going to do it again. 2, 2, 2, and 2. Okay? All right, shooter ready. Stand by.
Bust him.
Go. Watch that. Watch it. Keep the sights in the top. Good. Slot, squat. Watch your muzzle. Watch your muzzle. Look at your muzzle. Urban prone. Get out. Safety on. Safety on. Okay, be conscious of that safety, guys. Between each position, I want you guys to work that safety.
Bust him. There you go. Cant your gun. Watch that muzzle. Good job. Good job.
Good job, Mark. All right, just a little bit more rotation on this is what I like to see right here. Okay, because you never know what this is made out of. You are still straight on. The AK's got a little smaller height before because of the sights, but I still want you to, because you never know how thin this really is. Okay? But what we're trying to do is ramp you up at the end of the day, put a little bit of everything we've done all day long into one big nutshell, and let you guys move together as a team. Touch it! Moving! Notice that the left person that comes in is going to fire a couple shots. Moving! Move! Then go around your partner. Come into the right side if you were just on the left. Get behind cover. Boom, 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 boom. When this guy hears boom, boom, boom from me, then he's clear. He knows I'm covering him, and he's coming over here.
For me, as far as sweeping my muzzle back, I know I have a lot of body parts here, so I'll drop my muzzle down. At the same time, I'll move my weapon leg back to create that distance. Because if I don't, I'm gonna sweep my leg, right? So I'm tucked in. Once I say moving, move! Drop my leg out of the way, and make move.
Clear! Standing.
Stand.
And you can see the goal is to keep fire going. You notice our firing never really stopped until we were completely done. There was no lull in shots at all, more than maybe a second or two.
So when you say moving, the right
guy,
side
no,
shooter just
actually, the guy on the left is always requesting permission to move, and that is because we're moving to the right, so we're moving in this direction, which means that I want to get my outside guy making movement to the next piece of cover. Then he takes up that right position and so on and so forth. Now, reality is if I make movement in between here and there, he could have a weapon malfunction. If he does, I'm going to get my gun up and hopefully either be able to neutralize that threat right then on the move or post up, fire a couple quick rounds, and take off. So I can't tell you exactly what you would choose to do because who knows what that scenario is going to be. But we show you techniques so you can negotiate that scenario safely.
You're going to always react differently under stress. So it's kind of a test for us to make sure that we've been giving you guys what we need to give you all day long, right here. Because we're going to see how you react under a little bit more stress now. And then if you pass that test, dude, we've done our job. Okay, guys, go ahead and gas them up if you need to.
right. Right.
Good, nice job.
Moving.
Move. Holy shit, we got a double team! Like that bolt to the rear! Here's where the fundamentals are coming in, Chris. Get behind cover for the love of God!
Stay there, he's not covering you yet.
Get your muzzle up, get your muzzle up. Short, gas that sucker up. Good fire. Now index, back yourself up. Back your, there you go, engage.
See what the stress does, guys? See what it does is forces you to do other things, okay?
Forgot everything.
That's what happens. Now, guys, we're in a training environment. We're in a training environment. All we're doing is yelling at you. You think that's loud? That's nothing, man. Wait till it's coming back at you and there's metal shredding and ripping around you. Okay, that sucks.
Get behind cover, look!
Quick, go up!
Get your gun up! Get your gun up! Safety on, safety on. Move!
Slow your fire down, slow your fire down. She's not next to you yet. Something's wrong. Okay, here she is. Now you're getting close. It's kind of like a husband and wife therapy class, too, you know? You guys get to learn. You finally get to learn how to communicate with each other.
I'll do the dishes.
Okay, now call me.
Good job, Billy. Reload, mag out, mag in. Safety on, safety on. Move.
You know, it's changed my whole opinion. I've always had a handgun. I've always thought I would use a handgun in my home. And after doing this, a gun that I've had in the safe for 3 years and never really shot it, now I've got a lot of respect for it. And I'm sure that once I've grooved these procedures, it's going to become the weapon of choice.
All right, guys, congratulations. I think from the get-go today, from the start to finish, I see a huge improvement. I think you guys do too. I mean, you guys have just done nothing but excel, and we want to keep seeing you excel.
These courses and starting this basic course in fundamentals, it's all about pushing yourself. And when you can actually do that, when you can have the knowledge, the skills, and the desire to come out here and to have two guys like us, you know, work you guys as hard as we did, and it will only get harder if you show up again for another course. I can promise you that, because we're going to expect a little bit more from you at that point.
Great job, and keep up the good work, and we hope to see you guys out of some more classes. Well, there's still one more thing we need to do. All right, let's step out on the line.
Speed reload, mag out, mag in. Good job, Neil.